That is hard to see. Oh. Alrighty. Hyner. No one understands what this means. But anyway, it just means it's this was measured in a certain way that it was accurate, so that's always the fun part. A walking trail. And the railroad tracks down there. Anyway, to get to talking about Hyner, it's nice. I mean, it's nice. It's up there. Used to have a brick house up here and whatnot, so that's pretty much right past the statue where my truck is. Anyway, the trees weren't there at the time. They're still kind of young, so before that, some say it was an outpost, which is, it is kinda and it isn't in another way, because all this used to be, before the statue, like a front yard. Stones have been here longer than most people, to a certain point. Wall went up shortly after the older Hyner accident, and that's why when people come up here, there should be actually a sign that says, when you get to the stone wall and you feel a tremble under your feet, to evacuate the area, because some say were mining under this in 1970s, 1980s. How truthful that is a good question, because Hyner really doesn't have anything as far as oil or coal. It's not in or around any type of enriched rock like that. So they say that you can actually go parasailing. I kind of think they're full of themselves, because normally when you do parasailing, one, the ramp would be like 10 feet higher. Two, a tree line down there, and like I said, I can't really see this. That tree line that's down here that kind of points in that direction is actually in the way. So I don't think you could do any parasailing in the sense of, I know I'm not saying it right, hand gliding, that's what it was. And in any real sense, because you actually need to be about on those mountains over there. And you see how the dip is in the mountain. You technically would be, for almost a quarter mile, be above trees, and to the point that if you couldn't get the glider to go up, you'd end up crashing into the trees, which a lot of people got rid of doing gliders and stuff after a few incidents. There is an aircraft that's made for gliders, where you actually are harnessed in and you can actually see the takeoff and the landing, because you're right on the back end of the aircraft, and it'll take you up around 1,000 to 800 feet and let you glide, pretty much anywhere you want. But as long as there's a river around. And normally they'll tell you to stay in line with the river, and you have to have your own boat or people on the water to actually get you, because most cannot land a glider in wooded area, and that's all there is around here. There's no farms that actually land in fields, so it's kind of a joke of Hyner, I guess. I heard about this in the 1980s, so to me, I told him just to leave the ramp there, you know, thanks for putting the ramp in, etc., etc., but I don't want anyone hand gliding off hyner. One reason is so-called accident in mining. The other reason is it's not high enough to do a safe takeoff with a glider. I mean, you probably could, but you would be hard up for, you know, like up pressures to get away from that river in a sense of going up still. But there's not too much about hyner really to talk about. Coal working wasn't in the 1960s around here. Gold digging was unsuccessful as hell in Pennsylvania. Silver was exactly the same way, and so was titanium and all other alloys. It was a big flop, and someone had asked, why'd you buy all the land? Well, because it doesn't contain any of that stuff. So I don't have to worry about people coming in and ripping mountains down and stuff. So, I mean, it does have coal down in Philadelphia, but other than that, in around those areas, it doesn't contain much of anything. 3/4 of the state is well water and has real no large mineral deposits. So you kind of get away from the heavy hauling trucks and whatnot that you normally see with Alaska, Washington, North and South Dakota areas, where they'll rip it up and replace it. That's what the law is. I think part of hyner was if they even did, someone said they did a depth charge, and normally when you do a depth charge into a coal mine, it's normally vertical, that you try to go down and explore around a little bit. And when you do a sideways depth charge, as I like to call it, on something that looks like that, I mean, you're not going to get a very successful test done, as a mountain will want to come down on you. Now, hyner, and what I remember of hyner is down there where you see that little hump that goes into a bunch of high weed next to the tree line. The hyner used to be all the way out there. It was up level with this ground over here and whatnot. So, I mean, it was a formidable, they called it the Fort Hill. That's the other name they were trying to nickname the hill. As far as this side, and people don't quite remember that because they think all the trees are, you know, like brand new and stuff, or old, I should say, is hyner used to go farther out than the tree line. And pretty much here you see that little home down there, right down there, they had a mountain right up the rear end. So, I mean, there's a decent amount of pressure on it, and being that it was a fixed mountain, because if you ever look at the pictures before the last accident where that bridge is, you'll notice one thing. Hyner hit that bridge, I believe, 2 or 3 times just by sliding, which is nothing new because the river used to be where that farm was down there, I think. Roughly where the road is would have been flooded, which was nicely eroding what they later in the 80s called hyner, which I think it was called Fort Hill before that, because I thought the home up here was a fort because it was a private road. Now on this side, see if it's still actually running. On this side where hyner kind of scares the crap out of you, right there's a road. On this side, I was also trying to figure out what side they were working with on that last collapse, because it couldn't have been much. They said it just touched the bridge. But anyway, on this side, it was a little bit more of an upslope, so it come even, and then it would slope down. And then since there was wet grass around there, if you were walking in around where that stone is, you would fall over a drop. Hopefully about 100 to 200 feet into the trees. You could survive it by breaking almost every bone in your body, but it was dangerous. As far as this right in here, a lot of people were like, why does it seem like this is in? Because it actually is. They actually did a little bit of digging to make it a heavy end ravine road. And the reason for it was, as someone said, they were going to run military tanks up here or something. But anyway, it was some dumb crap they were talking about, having military tanks go up and down the road. So had it excavated to a certain point to where it would gradually slope in, took the bulk off the corners so they can't bring a tank up here. I don't want a tank up here for whatever reason. I guess an advantage point if the U.S. attacked us, or yeah, actually it would have been if the U.S. attacked, because this is actually European property, so and whatnot. And I really didn't want tanks up here. It'd be a nice way to blow a Black Hawk right out of the skies, but the other part of hyner is someone said it goes like it collapsed way back and went way down, and I was like, you won't even be able to build the mountain back up unless you had this huge chunk of rock right in the middle and you were using boulders. And I don't see tree lines for trucks or anything to, a crane or anything to actually do it. So put a boulder in and run dirt around it, concrete it in. It's a hell of a lot harder to build a mountain than they think. Those are just easy. That really does cause a problem. I don't even see it on there. There's that. I swear there's no sun. Should show up on here. Interesting. I can't actually get the sun on the video for some reason. But anyway, I'll have to take a look at that later. Why the camera is not picking up the sun. That's you on. Like someone got their hand over it. Alright, anyway, that's about it. I mean, not too much. It wasn't a military outpost. It was a sniper outpost, but it wasn't not a real military outpost. There was no fort right here. Most people, if anything, it might have been a vacation spot for military, but it was no sniper, like, no heavy military up here. So some would like to argue about that, but that is freaking weird. It's like my camera just went black. Can I get a picture of that? That was interesting. Someone referred to that as a black hole sun. And you can't get a video of the sun. Normally you can, you see this little dot and whatnot. So far I've ran into 2 snakes today. Not that I don't like snakes, but when you come across a 4-foot black snake or a black boa, you really just don't, you just don't want to keep walking. So, came across the yellow stripe. It's a copperhead, but I don't think it was. Let's get in here for a second. It's the only platform you can actually fall off on with the rocks. I'm gonna hit stop and make a new one.